Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Laura Holland Green. I'm the Associate Dean of the College for Academic Affairs. If you're a third year, I have you in class now, but if you're a second year, I may not have had an occasion to meet you, but I hope to do so going forward. So based on the number of questions that were coming in to your instructors, to Lucas, to Kay, we decided that a session like this might make sense. It gets overwhelming to answer questions individually. And if we can make sure that everyone's getting the same information in the moment, that's really very efficient. So thanks for joining us. And please let your classmates who may not be here know that there will be a recording of this available for them. So I'm just going to say one or two sort of overarching things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lucas and Kay to talk more specifically about the policies and procedures for use of the building. So the first thing to know is that you're not going to get into the building if you have not completed the building use training and signed the contract. I hope that most of you did this last semester through your either your Studio D2L site or possibly your Techne D2L site. If you don't remember completing that, or you're not sure whether you did, you can check with Lucas and he can confirm it to you. But you will gain CAT card access to the building only if you've completed that agreement, which signals that you know what the rules are for occupying the building and you have agreed to them. So that is one way in which we try to keep you safe, and we try to keep ourselves with proper documentation of, our conversations, our communication about these things. And really the second big thing I want to say is that whenever you are in the building, you should be wearing a mask and maintaining social distancing from your friends, from your instructors, right? These are critical measures. Even though the vaccine is rolling out, people older than most of you are able to get it. We're not out of the woods yet on this thing, right? And if we relax our guard now, I think we're going to be sorry pretty soon. So please help us to keep you safe. You help each other to keep safe. And that way we can keep the building open and allow you to make use of all the resources that I know you've been wanting to get back to. So to talk now about some of the specific protocols for how to occupy the spaces, how to know where you can be and when, I'm going to turn it over to Lucas.
Hey everybody, Lucas, I'm the Director of IT and Facilities. Thank you guys for being here. The big thing on the building that we kind of want you to know, so Laura talked about how you get access to the building, and please be aware that there's a few people who might have done the building agreement, but for some reason didn't get on our list or fell off our list. So if you can't get in and you did the building agreement, we're just going to ask what class you did that in, what the instructor was. We'll confirm it, and then we'll get you added in as quickly as possible. So we want to make sure everybody can get in. Then the other thing is, so the building is open right now from 6 a.m. till midnight. We haven't moved yet to the 24 hours. So there is a very small window, a 6-hour window when the building is completely closed down. But other than that, people are allowed to be in there in their studio spaces. But all spaces on the U of A are set at 50% capacity. So while we might have, for second year students, we have 90 desks.
Okay.
We have to have those, only half of those can be occupied at one time. So we can only have 45 students in the second year studio at one time. So the real nice thing is if there's less than that number of students who want to be in the building, like we found with third year, only about 27 students want to be there, and they actually have 30 desks available, so they can all be in there without setting up a rotation schedule. But if there is going to be more than 50% of the class wanting to be in their studio area, you guys need to work out with your instructors to come up with some kind of rotation schedule that will keep the studios at 50%, but give everybody equal access. During the evening, we have building monitors going through, just trying to remind everybody about the building agreement rules, wearing your mask, social distancing, those kinds of things. They're really there to try and help keep things safe and allow us to stay open. So if you could just give them some respect and listen to them, um, that would be really helpful. And our whole idea is to keep the building open, and that's why we're being pretty strict. Because if we have a COVID case in the building, will get shut down. We're not really sure if it'll be a day, a week, if they'll shut down just that floor, or they might shut down the whole building. And so we're not exactly sure what would happen, and we really don't want to find out. Kate, did you have other general things to add?
So I'm Kay Brown. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations and Community Engagement, and but I was a member of the reentry team, so I was involved with the use of the building and how we would return safely. So it's nice to see all of you here. I just want to reiterate that the building monitors, there should be 2 present at all times. They'll be sort of rotating through the spaces and just sort of walking through and observing everybody with some regularity. And I just want to second what Lucas said. They're there for your safety. They're not there to be police. They're really intended to be there to just monitor what's going on, answer any questions that you might have, and to ensure that people are understanding how the building can and can't be used, what the protocols are. So if you have any questions, you'll come to recognize them if you're in the building, because you'll see them fairly regularly. There are 8 of them that will be rotating, and their hours are, they're there from 5 until 10 on weekdays, so that's Monday through Friday, and then from noon until 10 on Saturdays and Sundays. So they are present for, pretty significant number of hours. And if you have any questions, you can certainly ask them. They're 4th and 5th year students, and there's 1 graduate student. So they've been in the building before and they understand all of the protocols. So please show them respect. They're not there to be the police or to be difficult, but they will ask you to make sure that you're wearing and social distancing. And so please kind to them, because they're really there for your safety.
I wish you did go forward. Wish you fell off. Guys, that was a... Can you...
Laura, I think you can mute some of those other folks.
I'm not the host. Kay is, I think. Maybe I can click.
Here, I think I can get them maybe.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Does, at this point, does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask?
There's one in the chat about whether this information will be posted on the website, and yes, it will.
Yes. So it might be a little bit hard to find. It's I just put it in the chat, but at the bottom of the website, there are in the little footer, there's a link both for CAPLA's reentry information and also for the university. So all of that will be there. And in that, on our website, I'm just going to hopefully share the correct screen. Are you guys seeing my website?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Yeah. So this is the website that's got a lot of information. It's got links to the university website in terms of testing protocols. And also on there, there's the building reentry plan, which ends up having a map layout of exactly where your classes are. We've got all the desks labeled with blue and orange tape just to help make it easier to alternate in case you have to sit. You have to have some kind of rotation schedule. We do have it where you have to sit every other desk. That helps make our 50% capacity and stay in line with what the U of A is saying. But it'll let you know the different floors, the different studio groups where they're located at. And this map and some general building guidelines are at the end of each row of desks. So it's in each area. We made it as prominent as possible.
Lucas, there are two questions. One is about whether when we might go to 24-hour access. And the other question is about whether there will be assigned desks.
So there should be assigned desks. Yeah, you definitely want to talk to your instructors, but the idea is that everybody gets a desk. There is a little bit of an issue. Let me see if I can. Like in some of these areas, we're a little bit short of desks because we've had to space everything out. We're kind of short of having enough desks for everybody. But we're hoping that will be taken up by those people who can't be there. But you should be able to be assigned to a desk and have that as your permanent spot. So yes, and in terms of when we're going to switch to 24/7, I'm not really sure. We're supposed to evaluate that after the second week and see how things are going. Right now, we've only had 2 or 3 students in, so we don't have an idea. I think a good idea of what it's going to be like when it's being fully utilized. But we definitely want to move to that if we can do it safely.
Yeah. Michael's got a question.
Yes.
Yeah, let me start just to put the second year 202 studio context out there. So we have students on at least 3 continents right now, and several states. So different time zones. So we're committed to keeping our official studio instruction is over Zoom and just as we've been doing it. So folks are aware of that. We've done some anecdotal. We've had some anecdotal polling and just different instructors have conversations with their sections, and we seem to have kind of a range of possibilities. Obviously, some students aren't here; they won't be able to be in studio. Some people are really got a good setup at their house or wherever they are, so they're not so inclined to necessarily uproot that, especially given the fact that the building's not 24/7. So they would if they move their desktop to studio, they would have to leave it at midnight, but I don't know, it could be forced rest.
Not a bad idea.
But in any case, it's a restriction, and so that might not work for some people. People with laptops or whatever, of course, could have more flexibility if that's what they happen to have. And I think some people actually are interested in kind of having an assigned desk if they can, understanding that there are limits on the time in the building. So that's sort of the range that we're going to be sorting through, and it might result in similar to third year, where maybe less than half are really like super committed to being in studio under the present conditions, in which case we wouldn't need to develop a rotation, but we don't quite know. We don't know that studio wide. We have snapshots of that, but we don't have a studio wide thing. So, and I don't know if any second year students want to, or instructors just want to add to that characterization.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, It is exactly as you described, Michael. I have a class of 12, and there were 6 people who have a great setup at their apartment that they don't want to change. So, and then I got a note from another one today. Now it's down to 5. So right now, you're right. It's anecdotal just because there's only a couple of us have those kind of hard numbers. But if it's about 60-40, maybe, then we can make it work for everybody to stay in their seat. If it's going to be close, I guess is what I'm thinking. We won't know it until we actually do it and actually have a survey that's pretty reliable. So we're just asking the students, when it comes time to ask you your preference, don't be shy about it or feel like, it's not necessarily, it's just got to be what works for you right now. It really looks like this is all going to be over the summer, and hopefully we'll never, I like to say, we'll never have to do this again.
I hope so.
So, at least not in my lifetime anyway. So, if we could just let us know how you feel. If you got a groove going on in your apartment and your roommate's cool about it, then don't change. And then that's okay. And if you're ready to come back, that's okay. So just let us know.
And I just, before I get to Oscar, I just wanted to point out, we do have certain spaces like the green room has some work tables, some 4x8 tables. We had to pull those all out in general, but we did try and bring in workspaces for everybody. It's a little bit harder in the West building. So we've had to use Dinsmore and Sund. But there are a bunch of workspaces. So if you do have to rotate out temporarily, or if you just need a larger area to work on a project for a few hours, we do have those spots available for people as well. And then Oscar?
We had a question in my section. The question was, is a decision to come back or not come back a final decision, or can they, float, I guess, and, use it and not use it depending on obviously,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I certainly, it once again, it's all up to the instructors in the end, how they want to do things. But at the university level, no student can be forced to come back into the school unless they're in a in-class only course. But I think most of ours are the flex in person. And so they have the right to be at home. If you wanted to come in and you decided that's not right for you and you want to go back to home, all of that is at your own decision making.
I think I would just, in terms of us figuring out, Oscar, what we need to figure out, we just need to know some of those variables. Not that it couldn't change from week to week or something, but for example, if somebody has a laptop and they want to go in and work in studio during studio time, I mean, the first default is they have to wear a mask and they have to be socially distanced. So they could be at a work table as long, whatever, with their laptop, as long as they're separate, assuming the rest of the studio, say all the blue desks were full or whatever on a Wednesday. So I think people can do that. I mean, the fundamental thing is the mask, social distancing, no more than 50% capacity in any space. You know what I mean? And so I think the logistical thing is, like, some people have desktop computers and some don't. And so if you've got a desktop computer, you need to think about, where am I going to put this thing? That's probably the biggest question.
And I guess that so to clarify, if people are, for us, I guess, is our access to the building only on our studio days?
No, it is every day, and between 6 a.m. till 12 midnight, you can be in the building. We want you to stay in your studio area or one of those flex spaces with the work tables, and certainly not go wandering around the whole building. But otherwise, the building is open. The materials lab, of course, the materials lab is by appointment only. So if you do need to use the materials lab, the wood shop, the metal shop, you have to make an appointment to do that. But the model lab itself is open that same midnight to 6 a.m. or not midnight to 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to midnight.
And that is by, there's a sign up on the door, so that limits the number of students in the model shop area at any one time, so they can sign up for a slot. Is that correct, Lucas?
Yes. So it's kind of similar to how you had to sign up for the laser cutters, but now it's just to be in there because I think the room is limited to 6 people. There's a sign outside the door that lets you know. There is a question about fee refunds, and I believe that this has been covered by the directors, Rob and Lori, and that there isn't, but I don't want to speak for them. That would be something that would have to be taken up with the school directors.
Yeah, I just put something in the
Oh,
chat.
okay.
I wasn't sure we would get to that, to say that, yes, this is a topic that's been raised by students, but campus-wide, there has not been a move in that direction and no directive from the president or provost. So students in the meeting, just so you know, we were hit by significant budget cuts even before the pandemic hit last spring. So money is always tight for the quality of instruction we want to offer. So I know it's been really tough on you not to have access to the facilities, but we've really tried to maintain the caliber of instruction and to be flexible and supportive of you as best we can. That's what I can say, but these are complicated discussions. We have also, as you know, offered material assistance, financial assistance to students in emergency conditions. So we've done everything else we can do to try to raise money, make it available to help those in need.
So we have another question about what other spots are available on campus for students who commute and maybe don't want to have to leave campus and then come back if there's a rotation. There are a number of tents set up around campus to provide some outdoor but covered seating for students. The student union is open, but it does have a limited number of people that can be in there. And they have a great system for that, where as you go into the door, it counts you. So outside of all the doors at the student union, it gives a count of how many people are in there. So you can see whether or not you can go in and whether you want to go in, depending on its capacity. At CAPLA, we've set up some tables out between our building and the photography museum so that there's some other seating available. Not sure if I'm thinking of anything else. There's the flex spaces that we have in the building. We've put seating in the east building. On the second floor, there's the balcony area where we also provided some seating and some little tables or stools that you can use as tables. So there's those options. Those are also for eating. So there's no eating in the building, because if you're eating, you have to take off your mask for an extended period of time. And we don't want that to happen. So we're asking everybody to eat outside, and we've tried to make it a little bit easier to do that.
And as Lucas mentioned earlier, there is additional workspace set up in Stunt Gallery. And if, you know, I think that space will probably be relatively lightly used most of the time. So there may be some expansion space there, or space that you can probably pretty quiet in there at times too. So that's another option.
Hey, Kay, several states in the U.S. have canceled their mitigation efforts yesterday, for example. I don't want to confuse anybody here, but what if that happened in Arizona? Does the university have a plan if they lifted restrictions? Would it change our situation?
Damon, that's a really, really good question. I think that, this has been one of the biggest challenges through the pandemic is the varying, this sort of wide-ranging variety of responses to this, both from at state levels, at county levels, at institutional levels, and things like that. So, the best response that I can sort of gather, and Laura and Lucas can jump in here, is that I'm sure that should that happen, we will receive immediate direct instructions from the university. I don't know what type of authority they might have to, or within Pima County even, to maintain the status of where we are if this were, say, so to speak, a state response, which some of these things have been state responses. So I think that's all a very fluid conversation, and we would obviously take our guidance immediately from the university, from President Robbins, and secondarily, they'll take their guidance from Pima County, I suspect. So there's several layers in there that we don't have a whole lot of authority over, but I think prudently we would continue to ask students to wear masks when they are inside the building and to social distance until, we have significant improvement in what's going on.
Thank you.
We're lucky that we have a physician as the president in the midst of a pandemic. He will do everything he can, I'm convinced, to keep us safe. So hopefully our governor will not make a decision that endangers people.
Did anybody have any other questions? I don't want to keep people past 5 o'clock, but we're happy to answer any other questions if you have any. And if you don't now and you have some later, you can feel free to contact me or Kay or Laura, or to go through your instructors and have them contact us. We're happy to help out. And while we're here, I'm just going to throw in a plug that the CAPLA IT also has a Zoom room that's open from at least 9 in the morning till 5 in the evening, Mondays through Friday. If you guys have any computer problems, you can jump in there too. We'd be happy to see you.
And we hope to see some folks on campus.
Yes. And we usually have people in the building for IT and other needs, at least from 8 till about 1 or 2 every day right now. So if anything comes up, you can let us know or give us a call. We'll help you out.
So I do want to thank you guys all for joining us and the questions that you were asked and for listening. And I hope that we answered some questions and relieve some of the uncertainty around this conversation. So please reach out if you have further questions.
And we hope to see you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.